Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par. Let's get to it. Hello, my golf friends. Welcome back to Above Par. It's nice to have you here. This is the third podcast in a 3-part episode on golf emotions and how we manage them on the golf course, which ones we should be having and not having, and how we deny them and judge them, and just how to stay in the center of the house. Those were the last two podcasts. If you didn't have an opportunity to listen to them, I encourage you to do that because I put all the pieces together through these 3 podcasts. And today I want to talk about fear. And I want to talk to you about it being more about fear of emotions. So most of the time when we have fear, or when we think of fear, it's really about how we might get hurt or injured or eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, or we walk down a dark alley and the hairs stand up on our arms, right? And we have this fear. We're scared. We're scared for our lives. That's fear. That's fear that serves us. We want our brain to do that. Like, thank you, brain. If I'm walking in an area and I have some fear, it's designed to get you into a fight or flight mode so that you can get the heck out of there. Very useful. Most of us experience fear as a fear of an emotion. We have fear of embarrassment, fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear of rejection. Most of us don't experience, and I hope you totally don't experience this, a fear of being physically harmed. It's totally different. I want to talk about fear of emotions because those show up for us on the golf course a lot. We can have fear of failure is huge. People are afraid of shooting a big number and feeling like a failure. We're afraid of experiencing the emotion, whatever that is. So if you have a fear that you can think of in your head right now, and it's of an emotion, it's because of what you think that emotion will feel like, or it's because of how you treat yourself when you experience that emotion. So I'll describe mine. I had a fear of disappointment. Huge fear when I was playing for a living because I was chronically disappointed with my performance because I was underperforming. I knew I could have done better. I knew I was in my own way. My scores were never good enough for me. I never made enough money. And at the end of the round, that feeling of disappointment just was this heavy feeling. Like if I talked about balloons, I would fill that balloon up, but it was filled with sludge, right? And that it would hang out with me for days, for a long time. I really just felt like I had to drag that balloon around until it just emptied out on its own. I beat myself up. I talked horrible about myself. I hated the feeling of it because what came with it was I knew it was going to hang out a long time. I was going to not show up. I was probably not going to engage with people. I was going to feel sorry for myself, encourage myself to quit, like all the things that accompanied that. Then I created a fear of that. So when I went out and played, I would play anticipating like, listen, I need to play well. I was like giving myself a little like back of the hand. You need to play well because at the end of this, if you don't play well, you are going to have to experience all of that disappointment. And that disappointment sucks. So I started to fear it. We fear that emotion. And as a result, I put so much more pressure on my golf game so that I didn't have to experience the disappointment at the end. Fear of failure is another one. We finish the round, we feel like a failure. We hate that feeling so much because of what we say to ourselves in that process, what we make it mean about us. So we go out and we play or we practice extra hard so that we don't have to ever experience that emotion. We end up fearing it, fear of embarrassment. I don't want to go out there and do this thing in case I'm embarrassed. Embarrassed is just an emotion. It's just one of the balloons. It's got a color to it. You fill it up. Might have different weights to it, but it's just an emotion. It's what we make it mean, the story we tell ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how long it lasts, that makes it seem like something that we should fear. If you hear yourself saying that, like, I'm afraid to do that thing, I'm afraid to sign up for a tournament, I'm afraid to show up in this group and join this group and play golf, I'm afraid to go out and play in case I shoot a big number, I'm afraid I might get off to a bad start. I'm afraid I might make a double bogey. I might 3-putt. I want you to ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? What emotion are you afraid of? What would happen if you did those things? If you went out and signed up for the tournament, filling out a form, signing a piece of paper to sign up for a tournament is not anything to be afraid of. So it's not that. That's not the problem. Showing up and having to put yourself out there, Is that a problem? Or is it the fear that you might embarrass yourself or be disappointed or fail? The one way to get past fear is to take action, right? If you're afraid to sign up for a tournament, sign up. Take that first step. Because once you take that first step, right, that now you're into the stage of commitment and you're going to figure it out and you're going to do the things. But when the fear isn't signing up for the tournament, when the fear is how you might feel if everything doesn't go well, makes us shrink and go back and stay small. Fear of failure a lot of times comes from perfectionism, and we can't outrun it. We can't outrun failure. You can't outwork it. You can't go, I'm going to practice harder and do more things and have a perfect little pretty swing so that I never experience failure. It's not how it works. It's not possible. You're going to experience failure. But when we decide I'm afraid of failure, then we decide we're going to stay small and we're going to shrink and we're not going to do all the things, because if I do those things and I put myself out there, I might experience failure. And I'm not willing to experience that. So I'll stay in my small little box right here in my neighborhood, doing my comfortable things. Fear of embarrassment, right? Embarrassment is just you worrying about what other people are thinking, which we don't have any control over anyway. So if we're afraid of embarrassing ourselves, then we will stay right in our little house doing nothing, not putting ourselves out there for people to judge us, right? We shrink. Fear of disappointment. Fear of disappointment would be you not going out there and doing anything new. I'm not willing to try something where I can't control the outcome because I might be disappointed. So we shrink, stay small. Fear of rejection, right? I don't want to join and ask to join that group because they might say no. So we never put ourselves out there because they might, and allow them to say yes, because we're not willing to experience that feeling of rejection. So what's my point in all this? It's just an emotion, and we're fearing an emotion. And when you can sit there and say, bring it on, it's just a vibration. I'm going to let it fill up that little balloon. That goes back to 2 episodes ago about talking about the emotions being balloons. That balloon's going to get filled up. But when I make them all equal, when I make all the balloons that I experience equal, they're all neutral. They're neither good nor bad. They're just something that I fill up from a thought with vibrations, and I can let the air out and let it pass. It's not a problem. It's when we judge that one balloon that gets filled up, that embarrassment, that failure, disappointment. When we start judging that, that's when we struggle. So I encourage you to ask yourself, what's that fear? What fear of an emotion do you have of experiencing? And then ask yourself, what if I experienced it? What am I making it mean? And it's because we're not used to allowing emotions or processing emotions that they hang out a long time, that we judge them and we make them a big thing. Ultimately, we make it mean that we're not good enough or we're not worthy. That's why they're so painful. We shame ourselves, right? And instead of that, why don't you just sit there? I just failed. That's part of the human experience. Instead of I failed, I suck, I'm not good enough, I'll never be good enough, I don't matter, I'm not worthy. Until we do that to ourselves, of course it's going to feel crappy. Instead of just saying, I failed, I learned something. Next. Or I'm feeling embarrassed. I put myself out there, I'm trying. They can accept me as I am or not. Or I can say I'm not good enough, no one likes me, everybody's judging me, and I can shrink. Right? We can go and ask to join a group and we can be rejected. And we can make it mean that I'm not good enough and I don't belong and no one likes me. Or we can decide those aren't my people. They're missing out on so much. I'll find my people. Right? Those are our opportunities. But when we always go to the negative side of that, when we always make it mean that we're not enough or we're not good enough or that we don't deserve things and we're not worthy, that's when we end up creating this fear. And when we hang on to it and it sticks with us for days, then we create this fear of an emotion. So how does that show up in golf? So many people play golf with a fear of failure and a fear of disappointment and a fear of rejection. And that pressure that you put on yourself while you're out there playing is so tremendous. It's like weighted balloons that you carry with you all day long, and your best talent can't come out. And the first way that you're going to get past this is to notice that it's there. Most of the time we've been playing golf and don't even notice it's there. We know something's there. Right? But we don't know exactly what it is. So I encourage you to ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What emotion are you afraid of when you're out there playing golf or off of the golf course? Let me tell you, if you have a fear of failure on the golf course, you have a fear of failure off the golf course. We don't just magically get it when we tee off on the first hole. If you have a fear of disappointment, you have that off the golf course, rejection or humiliation or embarrassment. If you have any of those fears, I promise you, this is not limited to the grass between number 1 and number 18. Because you have one brain. So pay attention to how you can work on it off the golf course So the next time you're on the golf course, you're even more powerful and able to handle it. But ask yourself what fears you have about playing the game. What do you think will happen if you actually do allow yourself to experience it? All right, my friends, overcoming your fear of an emotion is one of the best skills you can give yourself, because then you'll put yourself out there and you'll have that bring it on attitude. And there's really nothing that you wouldn't be willing to do. That would be breed the ultimate in confidence when you can manage any emotion. Right? If you need any help with this, reach out to me at kathyhartwood.com. And I hope you have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.